right. Happy Friday, everybody.
Live. Happy Friday.
And
Yeah.
welcome to the Back Catalog Listening Party. I'm Mother Banjo, one of your hosts.
I'm Anthony Ihrig, other host.
And today we have Martin Devaney joining us from St. Paul, Minnesota. How are
Hey,
you
Martin.
doing, Martin?
Good. How are you guys?
Good.
Doing well.
Happy it's Friday. So cheers. I don't know what are you all drinking over there?
I've got a Summit Keller Pills.
Nice.
Delish.
Good St. Paul beer.
Minnesota. Yep. St. Paul.
I'm going out to the West Coast today, to Petaluma, California, for a Lagunitas IPA.
Nice. Well, I'm going to, I don't know, somewhere tropical with my drink. I made myself, I concocted a cocktail that it's kind of tastes a little similar to a Mai Tai, but it's not as fancy. It's basically rum from Flying Dutchman, a local distillery in Eden Prairie. And then pineapple juice and a splash of grapefruit juice and a little lime. It's
Get
delicious.
it in while it's still warm, right?
That's right.
That's right. Oh, Alan's
cheers.
here. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Alan from Texas joining us, and
All right.
I'm sure he'll be telling us what he's having to drink. You all can throw in the comments what kind of beverage you're enjoying on this Friday long weekend. So
Yes.
here's to that.
Yes. And here's a special little tip out to all the parents out there who are about to start another round of online school.
Man.
I'm going to drink to that.
Good luck to you with whatever you figure out.
Well, man, I'll tell you two words I never thought I'd put together, only in 2020. Online kindergarten. Our youngest is apparently starting online kindergarten. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, that sounds tough.
Oh, look, breaking out the botanist and tonic. Excellent.
Ooh, that's fancy.
Sounds fancy. So we are so excited to have you with us today, Martin, joining us from the other side of the Mississippi River. And a Penny joining us from Northfield with limoncello LaCroix here. Awesome.
That sounds good.
Yeah. And so, Martin, we're so excited to have you here. You've been a fixture of the Twin Cities scene for a long time. And for folks who maybe don't know you and maybe aren't from the area, maybe you can give us a little bio about, how you started and maybe where this album fits into your catalog that we're going to be talking about.
Yeah, I mean, I came up as like a band kid and was in a hip hop group called High Respects, playing saxophone for a long time.
St. Paul Central.
That's it, St. Paul Central, and somewhere in there, started dabbling in being a songwriter with a guitar, right? And so I went through several years of my early 20s, kind of playing as either a folk singer or with a rock and roll band. And this album, The West End, was my fifth one. Came out about 10 years ago, and was kind of met those two things, like a singer-songwriter record with a band, and kind of was at the height of my most touring era, I guess. I can't even tell anymore, but
More than now, anyway.
Yeah.
more.
Yeah, right.
Well, yeah. True for
Time
anyone,
means
right?
nothing.
But yeah, kind of like this was, I think, the first time I put together like a really cohesive record, and that's where it is,
How many had you put out before this?
I'd put out four records and an EP.
Okay.
So I was cranking them out there for a while, but this actually was the longest time between records for me at the time. I hadn't put out one since 2006. This came out in 2010. Partially because I was helping run a label at the time. So I was working on other people's music as well as my own. And promoting some things for other
what label
bands.
was that?
It was called Eclectone.
Okay.
And we were operational from 2002 to, well, basically through this record, 2010. This is the last thing that really was related to the label. So, I was doing a lot of other work, promoting other people's music, and also trying to work on mine, and so it took a while. But then this one dropped, and yeah.
And
Very
for
cool.
folks who might not be as familiar with Eclectone Records, you guys worked with a bunch of great locally based artists. Can you name
Yeah.
a few for folks?
Yeah, Little Man, Joanna James, Big Ditch Road. Um, we did a record with 6 Mile Grove. Dan Israel, a couple records with him, and a few others. Maybe we're just one-offs, whatever. But we we did quite a bit there in that 8 years, and had some good times. We did a Charlie Parr record. In fact, we did a package tour with me, Charlie Parr, and Big Ditch Road for 2.5 weeks in, I think, 2007 or 2008. A little bit before this record came out, unfortunately. I wish I'd have had this record with me on that tour, but that tour, definitely a lot of stories. And that was a little bit before Charlie really popped. But we did one record with him. Yeah.
Cool.
Very
Awesome.
great lineup on that label, and you can hear some of that styles of some of those different styles of music in this record. Now, this was all original, is that correct? This particular album?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess all of my records are original.
Cool. Well,
Better
we'll be
or worse. Better or
diving into
worse.
the songwriting process. Both Ellen and I are interested, and a lot of our audience is interested in that. But maybe just to kick things off, should we listen to a track off the album?
Sure.
Awesome. So the first one we have lined up is called "Hold On to Your Money," and we always ask guests, do you want to say anything ahead of time or afterwards? What would you prefer?
Well, I'll say this. It's a terrible song to tell people about.
Uh-oh.
Hold on to your money. So you want them to give you your fucking money, right? Um, it's a terrible title, right? But this song is the only song I've ever written in my head only, without a guitar in my hand. And at the time, I was super obsessed with Bob Dylan and the band Basement Tapes.
Oh yeah, those are
And
great.
it's not the first time I've been obsessed with that. It's not the last time. And I still spend a lot of time with Bob Dylan and the Basement Tapes. But this was kind of that idea of writing a tune with weird verses with a sing-songy. So that's what I tried to do here.
Right on. All right. Well, folks, let's give it a listen. This is Martin Devaney. Hold on to your money unless you're going to put it in his tip jar on the back catalog listening party.
Basking in the morning light, I thought that I had passed the point in my life where I dwelled upon the pain I had amassed. sky, we wouldn't be out here shifting shapes and laughing off these lies. Hey there, Molly, don't you worry, dear. Hold on to your money, and I'll be free and clear. She said, I've got a truckload full of tears and a blanket full of hats and gloves I knit for you, all made out of wool. Now, Molly, I will wait for you until you come around. It might be here, it might be there, or back in our hometown. Hey there, Molly, don't you worry, dear. Hold on to your money, and I'll be free and clear. Hey there, Molly, don't you worry, dear. Hold on to your money, and I'll be free and clear.
Well,
All right. That was Martin Devaney, Hold On to Your Money, from his 2010 album, The West End. Martin's joining us today on Back Catalog Listening Party. And the song that kicks off the record, great tune.
Yeah,
Thanks,
I
yeah.
can hear the band that too. That I love that chorus, man.
That-
Somebody
it's-
mentioned that they're gonna be singing that. I'm gonna be singing that chorus.
Yeah,
well,
earworm.
Al, yeah, if Al's still listening, that snare sound too. He said he'll be singing the chorus. Yeah, he loved snare sound. That's all Mick Wirtz. Mick played in Bellwether.
Oh,
you guys remember that band.
I do.
Right?
Very cool.
Fantastic band. That's all Mick Wirtz and Mark Stockard who recorded the record. And,
Very cool.
They really nailed it on that one for sure.
Yeah, and who's playing banjo on the track?
So that's Dave Boquist played slide and banjo on that whole track. He played in the band Sunvolt for a long time. And so he played slide and banjo on that. And Jake, of course, on fiddle and vocals. And then Mick played the drums and the third harmony.
Very cool.
Nice,
So,
nice.
yeah.
And
Sounds great.
and you mentioned Jake Heyer is who that is, a longtime
Yes.
collaborator with you, fiddler, singer,
Right.
and has been in a lot of bands over the years when he lived in the Twin Cities, for sure.
Played with you as well, right?
That's right. Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know. And Tony, did you ever play with Jake too?
I did, and I believe we maybe did some kind of jamming after a night of bluegrass bands, in
Right.
his various bluegrass endeavors. I'm sure we got on stage together, but never officially. But fantastic players with great musicians on that album.
Yeah, for sure. And that on that song, Martin, you mentioned West 7th, which I'm assuming is West 7th Street in St. Paul.
Yep.
And you live right near there. That's kind of the neighborhood where you live. And
Right.
does the West End refer to the West End of St. Paul?
Yeah, it was sort of I'd written the record and moved down here around that time. I didn't grow up far away, but I'd written the record here at the house, and I say on there too, down on Old Fort Road. So West 7th used to be called Fort Road. So there's the
St.
yeah.
Paul kid, I was recognizing that. It's nice to hear like folk music referencing my own background. It's really cool.
There you go.
Yeah, great stuff. And hold on to your money. And tell us what inspired that song. You said you wrote it without a guitar, which is unusual for you.
Yeah.
What was the inspiration for the song?
I don't know. I think, like I said, I was like really just at the time, and again, not the first time, not the last time, big into the basement tapes and just thinking about like just writing a sing-songy chorus with goofy verses, right? And yeah, to be honest, it just kind of came out. Yeah.
Well,
Excellent.
as I mentioned before we started listening to this, don't hold on to your money if you want to give some to
That's
Martin.
it. Yeah.
Like all musicians right now, we are there's no gigs going on, and Martin's usually out there playing. I do believe he has one we're going to be promoting here, but for the most part, everything's been canceled. So in the comments, both on Facebook and YouTube, you're going to see information on how you can pitch in a little bit to show Martin your appreciation for all his great music and to let him know that we want to hear more when this whole pandemic is over.
That's right. And Martin, you are such a prolific writer, it feels like. You were talking about all the albums you put out in such a short amount of time, especially leading up to this one. Have you found this a good time for writing during the pandemic, or has it been hard with just everything going on in the world?
Well, yeah. It's funny. I had a good run. I you I thought I would have been crushed by depression and existential dread, rather. Um, but through the spring and early summer, I wrote quite a bit. Again, interest, you know, interestingly enough, I was back into the basement tapes again, and I just started writing. I wrote and recorded about 20 demos in the last couple months since March, uh, of varying quality, but it brought me comfort to be going out to the backyard or just sitting in the dining room here and writing, and I've got to think there's a frame for a good record there. We'll see, but I think there's some good stuff in there. So I actually have been writing more than I would have thought, and more than I've written in a couple years.
Excellent.
That's
Well,
great. We've really seen all the spectrum, haven't we, Ellen? I mean,
Yeah.
people who have shut down creatively, and here you are, you got 20 demos in already.
Awesome. Yeah.
That
That's
actually
great.
leads to a
I
question.
don't get it, but yeah.
The muse works in strange ways.
Right.
But one question I have for you, like for someone who writes and kind of puts together demos or imagines the song in your head, even without the instruments, what is it like translating that to the studio? Like, do you kind of give direction to your bandmates and have it all arranged, or do you kind of let people kind of go with the flow and work it out themselves?
Mostly go with the flow. Like, I'm not a great band leader, and it's just like that's where like my like I guess I mean I might have the outline for the tune, I might have the tune completely written, but I don't like telling people what to do.
Okay.
I'd rather them react to it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And usually that works out well. And if there's something really specific, I'll bring that up or point it out. But largely, just let people react.
Cool.
And were these songs that you had played live a lot before? Because again, normally you play out quite a bit. Were these songs that were road tested and you had played with the band before, or are these ones that were kind of fresh when you went into the studio?
Kind of half and half. This record was really written for me and Jake to perform. So we'd probably played some of them on the road. And I remember specifically, like, we'd played the North versus South Festival in 2009 in Kansas City and had played a lot of these songs with plans to bring them to a band. But I knew that on record I wanted them to be the band, not just the two of us. Even if a lot of the live shows would be just the two of us. So it was kind of half and half.
Yeah.
And that's usually the case, I guess.
Well, let's dig into more songs because we have a bunch we want to get through, and I've been really loving this record. I posted this on Facebook earlier today, but I've been listening to this record yesterday and today, just like on repeat, as I've been going on my run around Lake Nokomis and walking around the neighborhood, and it just the vibes on this record just are suiting the weather here in Minnesota and suiting my mood. So I want to dig into as much as we can. So the next song we have queued up that you selected from the record is called "Don't Wait." Is there anything you want to say about this song?
This, so like I said, I mean, I wrote a lot of this record for Jake and I, and I thought this was going to be our like Jayhawks breakthrough tune, where like you have the one guy with the unconventional voice, like Mark Olson, and you have the one guy with the beautiful voice, Gary Lewis. And this was me trying to write a Jayhawk song, and I thought the Current was going to play the hell out of it, and they have played it, but like, you know, I thought this was going to be our tune. But anyway,
Well,
Well, it might be our tune here on Back Catalog.
yeah, right. And if anyone at the Current is listening, don't wait.
Yeah.
There you go.
You can play this one too. This
Yeah.
is Martin Devaney. Don't wait on the Back Catalog listening party.
Don't wait any longer. Don't wait any longer to say just what you have to say. Don't wait any longer. Don't wait any longer till tomorrow turns to yesterday. Well, I've been told it many times before that it was just the wrong place or the time. Well, ain't that a crime? Too many nights pacing the kitchen floor. Wonder if sleep will ever come back to the one who holds his tongue. Don't wait any longer. Don't wait any longer to say just what you have to say. Don't wait any longer. Don't wait any longer till tomorrow turns to yesterday. Do you remember late November days? The cold comes creeping in, start to see the moon in the afternoon. The calm will come and then your eyes would glaze over and you'd see through a haze all those that you let become a regret. Remembering that solitary dread that you are not the voices in your head. Don't wait any longer. Don't wait any longer to say just what you have to say. Don't wait any longer. Don't wait any longer till tomorrow turns to yesterday. say just what you have to say. Don't wait any longer. Don't wait any longer. Till tomorrow turns to yesterday.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
Martin Devaney here on the Back Catalog Listening Party. That was Don't Wait from his 2010 release, The West End. And again, that was Jake Heyer on fiddle and vocals joining Martin on that. And I totally can hear what you're saying about it being like your attempt to write a Jayhawk song. It has that wonderful, catchy, ear candy kind of thing going on. So
I love it.
it sounds like radio hit to me.
Well, and I should say too that we came into that like you're asking about coming in and like directing a band or letting them kind of run with it, and that one there, perfect example of Dave Boquist wrote that guitar hook, right? You know, like he just reacted with that guitar hook. You know, how many times did he do that in Sunvolt, right? That was one of those times we came in with like an idea, but he completely played that. So
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
yeah,
Well, one thing that folks from the Twin Cities might know is that your kind of title of, because you are such a St. Paul guy, the album The West End, inspired by the neighborhood you live in, you have been called, including by mayors of St. Paul, the unofficial mayor of St. Paul. Tell us how that first came to be.
it's funny. Do you remember the local songwriter guy Stook?
Mm-hmm.
And also, do you remember the local magazine Metro?
Yes,
Oh,
I
yeah.
remember. I actually wrote for Metro for a hot minute.
There you go. So, in about 2007 or 8, he had done a column of like top 10 favorite local tunes, and included one of mine off the record that came out before this. And he said something like, I still have it cut out somewhere. It was something like, "Doom and gloom from the unofficial mayor of St. Paul." And then people just ran with it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And I never had a nickname in my life, you know. So I ran with it.
Well,
Yeah.
I was going to say, I remember Chris Coleman often referring to you as that, and while he was mayor of St. Paul.
Yeah, he did. He took it, yeah, for sure. For sure.
That's great.
Wonderful.
That's great. And I forgot, did you mention where this album was cut? The recording studio?
Yeah, so, and it might come up in a bit, but it was Underwood Studios in kind of like the uptown area, like Lynn Lake neighborhood of Minneapolis, with Mark Stockert, who I've done 4 records with over the years. And he's a great producer and friend. Yeah, we did it there to tape. And yeah,
All the band in one room, or
not
did you isolate?
always. Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, it kind of a little bit of both.
Nice.
Wonderful.
How about those harmonies with Jake? I'm always curious about the way the voices blend, kind of in real time versus when you kind of layer them later. Was that in real time or no?
Mostly in real time. Yeah, I always preferred that.
There's something that happens, like something magical in the air when the two voices like kind of merge.
We couldn't we've successfully done it not together, but I always preferred it if it was at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds great and really organic. Really nice stuff. If you just tuned into Back Catalog Listening Party, we're talking with Martin Devaney, the unofficial mayor of St. Paul, about his album The West End, and came out 10 years ago. It's hard to believe that. And we're talking about the songs. And if you are liking what you're hearing, you can buy the album. It's available digitally. He's out of CD copies, but he has vinyl on his website. I don't have this album on vinyl, but I think I might get it because it sounds so great. We were talking about the work that Mark Stockert did in the studio, and the audio quality is lovely on this album.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I remember having a conversation with Slim Dunlap when he was still, doing well, and he told me he could tell it was recorded to tape and mastered to vinyl, and that was always like a big compliment.
That's a badge of honor
Yeah.
in audio circles. Yeah, and it really does sound great that you can hear that. And I think for your style of music too, it's like another member of the band. Hearing all that analog goodness.
For sure. And if you guys have questions or comments throughout the show, feel free to throw them in there for Martin or for any of us as we listen to these songs together. We're going to dive into the next one, and this is one of my favorites on the record, Wise Blood. Is there anything you want to say about the song?
Yeah. Well, it took a long time to write.
Any reason? Is there anything we should be listening for? Like
not really. So I had read that early in my songwriting career, a big influence, and still a big influence, is Lucinda Williams.
Oh yeah.
And she had talked about the writer Flannery O'Connor, and I had read a little bit of Flannery O'Connor. And she was largely a short story writer, but wrote, I think, only one short novel, and it was called Wise Blood. And I remember Lucinda bringing this up in an interview, and I was like, well, that's a good title for a song, right?
Yeah.
And this is 2005. Maybe before that, but I remember. I specifically remember being on tour with Mike Gunther. If you guys remember, if you know Mike Gunther, we were on tour, and I remember trying to start writing this song. And it's evolved over the years, not lyrically, but musically. It's gotten heavier at times, whatever. But I just couldn't get it down, and to where I liked it. And eventually I did.
Was there a turning point?
Not really. It was just the craft, the craft, the revising process, right?
Yeah.
But it took me 5 years, which normally isn't the case. Normally I kind of just bang them out or whatever, a little bit, whatever.
Right.
But this one I wasn't going to let go till it was right. And so it took me about 5 years to get right. And I think we did.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I agree. Yeah. Well, let's listen to Martin Devaney, "Wise Blood," on the back catalog listening.
All right.
Back in 19-something, I grew up on the Sioux line. My lullaby was the passing of the train. My folks tried to raise me right, not to smoke and drink and fight. That I got wise blood running in my veins. Well, temptation turns its tricks. End up hungry, broken, sick. And the days go by like dishwater down the drain. I take off my Sunday best, 'cause I need my one-day rest. Pray that I got wise blood running in my veins. Pray I got wise blood. Pray I got wise blood. Pray I got wise blood running in my veins. All I want's a sense of place, four walls and a loving face. And get by in ways I can't explain. Now I'm standing in the town where they laid poor Jesse James down, with wild blood running in my veins. Pray I got wise blood. Pray I got wise blood. Pray I got wise blood running in my veins. All I want is a sense of place, four walls and a loving face, and wise blood running in my veins. I'm not where I thought I'd be in life. No steady job, no kids, no wife, and no sense of when to pull back on the reins. I know I can't keep up this pace, hollow lungs and a sunken face, but I got wise blood running in my veins. Pray I got wise blood. Pray I got wise blood. Pray I got wise blood running in my veins. All I want's a sense of place, four walls and a loving face, and wise blood running in my veins. In my veins. In my veins.
All right. That
Yeah.
was Martin Devaney with Wise Blood from his 2010 release, The West End. And if you like what you hear, you can throw something in Martin Devaney's tip jar, which has been scrolling on the screen. There it is.
Yep,
and
yep.
it's also in a link in the comments.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Okay, and we have Martin back with us, hopefully.
We got two Martins.
Oh, geez.
Yep. Oh, gee.
Hang on. Sorry about that.
No problem.
That is okay.
Just
We're just
losing
glad to have
you.
you back. And again, we just heard Wise Blood and Alan saying good candidate for a 2020 soundtrack. And Joe, I totally agree with Joe's comment. He said perfect chords and feel for a Flannery O'Connor reference. Ominous, dark, foreboding. Wise Blood, good movie too. And I will say this song definitely has a short story feel to it. And yeah, it's really cinematic. You just feel like you're right there and that you can almost see the whole story unfolding. It also mentions Jesse James, and for folks who aren't from Minnesota, there's a local reference for Jesse James. There's Jesse James Days every year in Northfield. We have a bunch of people tuning in from Northfield. How much did any local history factor into this particular story song?
Very little, I think. I'm actually talking about the town of St. Joseph, Missouri, which is where he was killed. I used to play a bunch of, like on tour, I'd play a bunch of shows for whatever reason. St. Joseph, Missouri would always be like a good tour stop for us. So despite the Northfield connection and the fact that Dave Voquist played on this track and Sunvolt made their first record in Northfield, my reference was St. Joseph, Missouri.
Cool.
Nice.
So I don't know, yeah.
Wonderful.
I'm a kind of a former drummer, percussionist, and one of the things I'm always glad to hear is rhythms that aren't just the bass and the snare. And there was some really cool drum work going on this. Was that just something that came spontaneously? Or is that something that you had in mind?
No, I didn't have it in mind. I thought it more of a shuffle kind of thing, and that's Mick. Mick works formerly of Bellwether, whatever. Maybe they'll do something again. He's a very musical drummer, and a great harmony singer if you need it. But he really brought that to it, which another one of those things where it's like I wasn't trying to tell anyone what to do, just have you respond to the tune, and he did. He responded with that.
Oh, I thought it added so much to the vibe of the song.
Yeah.
It's kind of sparse but interesting.
Yep,
Yeah.
because you could have plowed through it, and that's fine. But he did that. No, yep, for sure.
Nice. Well, yeah, it sounds great. And I have to ask, because you had said at the top of the show that you started out playing band in high school and playing sax with the Higher Specs, a great hip hop band from this area. Have you ever put any saxophone on any of your singer-songwriter records?
Yeah, one of mine, which I'm actually pretty proud of. I'll email it to you later. And one with the side project that I did, Crossing Cards. I've thought about it since, and it just hasn't worked out. But there's one tune in particular, I did. It was the record right before this one. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's funny because you can't really play saxophone and sing at the same time, so it's obviously not an easy.
It's not like the singer-songwriter instrument.
Right.
Yeah. That said, I saw Van Morrison last year, and he almost only sang and played sax.
No way.
Picked up a guitar twice, but he has saxophone around his neck 80% of the time, I'd say. And he'd sing and then pick it up,
Nice. Okay, coffee shop songwriter challenge. Sing a verse,
right?
Play it.
Yeah.
Sing a verse.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, good times. Well,
I was that socket,
Well, one of these days we'll see you whip out that saxophone sometime when we get to see you perform live. And speaking of live shows, we should mention that you actually, for those of you who live in the Twin Cities or the surrounding metro, Martin Devaney's actually playing a live show.
Wait, in person?
Yeah.
It's happening on September 19th at Palmer's Bar, a great local joint on the West Bank, and it's outside on the patio, so folks can be distanced and safe. And it's with Turn Turn Turn, which is the new trio featuring Adam Levy, who's been a guest on our show as well before. So it's a great local lineup, and it's
Awesome.
at 7 p.m. September 19th. And I'm guessing, do you have to get tickets in advance for that?
Yeah, it's pretty limited tickets, but it should be haven't talked to Tony about it. It should be a safe event. Obviously people will mask up and whatever, but
Cool.
we're trying to keep it responsible, and yeah.
Excellent. Wonderful. Well, I don't know if horns are super spreaders or not, but if not,
They
I
probably
think
are.
that could be your opportunity to bring out the sax. I don't know.
They
Yeah.
probably- I just saw an ad for this
Yeah.
mouth guard for trumpet players, and I'm thinking,
How's
might as
that
well,
gonna work?
why even have the mouth? Well, no, you lift up the flap and then you play the trumpet and then shoot out all the virus.
Right. We'll see you next year for that one. Yeah.
Yeah. Sounds good. Sounds good.
Well, speaking of Palmer's, there's a picture here that you sent of you and Jake
Yeah.
at Palmer's. Can you tell first a little bit about maybe your history with that venue? I mean, it's an iconic venue. It's been around for so long and has managed to stay afloat. Do you have a personal connection with Palmer's over the years?
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, now the most personal connection is Tony Ziccardi, a longtime friend, owning it. But that said, we started playing. I mean, a couple of my first shows were at the 400 bar just down the block, which is no longer. But I've played at Palmer's dozens and dozens of times over the years, and this would have been right around the time Jake and I were really touring quite a bit together, just as a duo. He's holding his Mando bird.
I love that, like a little
Yeah.
It's
electric
an
mandolin
electric
engine.
mandolin that a friend had custom made for him. And,
Nice.
and yeah, just, like, it was always just a comforting place to play. We
Yeah,
always felt welcome there. And, people might think it's sketchy here and there, and whatever, maybe it is at times, as in whatever.
but yet another connection to that West Bank
Yeah.
folk music
Yeah.
scene that started so many years ago, and there's still that lifeblood there.
Yeah.
You
like-
go in there and Spider John's still having a cup of coffee in the morning, right?
Yeah.
Coffee in the morning and a glass of whiskey at night.
Yeah. It's very true. In
That's
fact,
true. Like maybe to this day, yeah.
yeah, it is.
Sure.
And I will say, and the fact that Tony Zaccardi now owns it, who's also a great musician in town. I mean, maintaining those musical connections. And I have to say, I think Martin, the last time might have been the last time I even saw you. Certainly, the last time we played together
Maybe,
was
yeah.
at Palmer's last
October.
fall. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, and Beth chiming in here was at Palmer's last night. Tony and staff are doing a great job, social distancing patrons.
Yeah.
And guest book just in case. That's awesome to hear, Beth. Thank you for sharing that.
So support them, because we want venues and establishments like Palmer's to keep going. So that's really great to hear. And speaking of that, I know on the album, and I can't remember which song, there were some references to some other venues in town. Is that right? Am I remembering that right? Or other artists, or it was other artists. Oh, Baby Grant Johnson. That's what
Other
it was.
artists, yeah. I mentioned Rich Mattson. Rich Mattson and Baby Grant, yeah.
Yeah, for
So,
sure.
veterans of that scene as well, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
Very cool. Well, let's see how many more we can fit in before the end of today's episode.
All right.
The next song we have is All About the Ninth.
Yeah, this picture, I just wanted to bring it back because this song features some pretty intense harmony singing with Jake, and you see the pair here. Where does that kind of come from for you? I mean, there's lots of different genres that have had that style, almost like brother duet style kind of singing. Where does it come from in your background?
Well, so it's not even my background, really. But this is very specific in that Jake had been in a group called the Get Up Johns, like a bluegrass group.
Yeah.
And they were like very much like the Luger Brothers, brother harmonies, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have a brother. So like you hear the Cactus Blossoms, you get it. They're actually brothers. But like the two of us just somehow hit it. And in the wake of him not being in the Get Up Johns anymore, and even during when he was, whatever. It was also the time, and I mentioned the Jayhawks before, but Gary and Mark had just put out that the duo record, right? And we were just trying to do something like that. And we were sitting in my basement, and we were talking about Raz Russell, who's a fiddle player and multi-instrumentalist who played with Gary and Mark from the Jayhawks and with the Jayhawks, whatever, over there. And we just started talking about how goofy he was, like as a person. And started trying to write a song about him. So this is ostensibly about Raz Russell, not literally. But we just started writing a song and just were like, let's hit these notes and see what happens. And it turned into this tune. And it should have had a 4-bar instrumental intro. And we just spaced that on the recording. Anyway.
Usually things get added in the recording. This is one that it didn't happen.
Yeah, it's a more concise recording, I guess.
And okay, well, I got to ask about the ninth. Is this a ninth in the chord, maybe in the harmonies?
He talked about. It's funny. Yeah. So when we were talking about him, he said something about one time we're sitting at the Turf Club on a Sunday night, one of those House of Mercy nights, and he was like just talking up a storm, whatever. And he said something about, that ninth chord. It's all about the ninth. And I just hung on to that.
Yeah.
It's the second song I've ever written off something Raz Russell said. I wrote a song called Flowers on the Doorstep off the record before this, which was something off he said. but he said something about it's all about the ninth. We took that and ran with it.
That's
So,
awesome. All
Yeah.
right.
Wonderful.
Yep.
All right. Well, let's listen to the ninth here
Okay.
because it is all about the ninth on this Friday afternoon musical happy hour with our friend Martin Devaney on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
I run a bed factory and I drive a truck around this city every night. When I lay down my head, I think I might pour me a pint, 'cause it's all about the night. Well, the facts really aren't all that fun, and my ex has got a little one. What attracts me are the mercy nights when the crowd puts up a fight, and it's all about the night. Tonight I'm staying on my knees, praying for the relief of love. Well, we all remember when and we dwell on all that we could have been. I can tell I never put down the pen. I won't go light into the night, 'cause I'm all about the night.
All right. Martin Devaney here on the Back Catalog Listening Party, all about the ninth, inspired by Raz Russell, the wisdom of Raz Russell, and that's from Martin's album, The West End, that came out in 2010, 10 years ago. And you can get the album on vinyl through Martin Devaney's website, and it's also available on the streaming platforms as well.
And we should mention that on Fridays, Bandcamp, the organization that a lot of musicians put their music on, they waive their fees. So every
the
cent.
first Friday of every month. Yeah.
Yeah, so every cent goes to the artist. So today you could go to Bandcamp. You can get it from Martin's website. Go over there and buy all his records, and you'll know that every penny is going to go into his hat.
Yeah, we like that a lot. And certainly past, we posted on our Facebook page that a bunch of our other past guests also have albums up on Bandcamp. So check them all out. And All About the Ninth, again, featuring Jake Heyer. It just made me miss Jake. I don't know if Jake's out there listening, but we miss you, Jake. And
No longer in town? He's no longer in town?
No. I think Martin's muted. Let's see
Oh.
if we can get him back in
Let's
here.
get back. Yeah, sorry about that. All right.
Okay, so where's Jake
Yeah.
these days?
He's since moved back. A few years ago, he moved back home to West Virginia, and yeah, he's come back a couple times for my wedding and a couple shows. I think one with you guys.
Yeah, actually.
When the Viking was still open for a minute.
Yeah. Speaking
Right.
of the West Bank, that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, we did one there. So,
Yeah, fun. Well, again, that song
Oh.
sounds great. And,
Great harmonies.
Yeah, and I really love how this record sounds. It's like you get some of those just catchy kind of pop tunes and some rock and stuff, and then you get acoustic ones like that. It's just a very
Right.
well-rounded record. Sounds
I was
great.
happy about the bridge on that one.
It's good when you
And
can
I
listen
should-
back and say that.
I should, as we talked about earlier, the poster for the show by David Witt, who's a great great local artist.
Oh, wow.
That's great. Can you hold that just a little closer? That looks
Yeah.
beautiful.
There we go.
Yeah.
Awesome.
He's a great local artist who does a lot of local show posters, and always want to support him.
Yeah.
That looks great.
Yeah, it sounds great.
Yeah.
And so you celebrated the release of this at the Turf Club, it looks like, and
Yep.
all the people playing on it. And we have one more song to get to, and
Sure,
this
yeah.
one, and this one is called Underwood. Is this related at all to where you recorded the record?
Quite. And it kind of came. This one came like toward the end of the, I guess, writing process, as you would say, for this record. Because I really was trying to do, like, we played that first tune, right? Hold On to Your Money. And I was trying to do like more of a basement tapes thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, really loose and just bandy and whatever. And you know, there's an element of that, but the studio we recorded this at, and that I've done 4 records at total, is called Underwood Studios in Minneapolis, with Mark Stockert. And I was trying to do like a Neil Young kind of thing for this, I guess, a tribute to him. He gave me my first ever gig at the Turf Club, which probably a place I played more than anywhere in the world. And so I was trying to just do like a minor tribute here. And we make a couple references. His nickname is the Falcon, so you'll hear that come up. And one of my buddies that I go all the way back to high school for sure, but grade school as well. My buddy Matt, the bass player, he was in an early version of my band, and he played in another band, and his nickname became the Freight Train. And so that comes up in here. And so, yeah, it was a tribute just to the place and the people that have come through.
Wonderful.
Well, I'm going to agree with Craig here that we're loving the local references. You know, I think that's what folk
Good for
music's
those.
all about, man.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Good for
great,
those.
and we're going to hear that on this one. This is Martin Devaney with Underwood on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
I've been dying to disappear. I've been rushing to relax. Took a 6-string.
There's a ghost on this track, too.
And now I'm covering my tracks. If I could dial down.
Uh-oh. There was the ghost.
I think we just had the ghost.
Ghost in the machine there.
Wow, yeah.
Later.
Where were we on that? Okay, let's see if we can find that. That was interesting. It just stopped playing. I'm sorry to say, folks. Let's hear about the ghost, because I think the ghost is present with us right now.
Yeah.
So allegedly, there's a ghost in this house where we recorded. And late in this song, very toward the end, it sounds like there's a keyboard on the track, and there's not a keyboard on the track.
Ah.
Really?
Yep.
What
we
is-
think that's the ghost.
Oh man, you know what's interesting is Ellen sent me this file earlier, and this is for anybody listening out there too, and only like a few seconds, 40-some seconds showed up. She sent it to me again. It looked like the whole file is there, and it still won't play. I think the ghost is telling us to maybe play another track, like maybe House Off the Beaten Path.
And you guys will just have to listen to find this song on Bandcamp or get the record, because this song is great, Underwood. So, yeah, the ghost is not letting us play it today, but
Yeah, we apologize for that, but I bet you it sounds really good on vinyl.
yeah.
There you go.
So
Well,
let's dive into this other song.
Yeah,
Tony.
let's pull an audible here.
Yep. And while Tony's queuing that up, I just want to thank Martin for being here today, and to all of you for joining us. And again, if you like what you hear, tip Martin, buy his records. And also, next week, we are excited to say that we have Brian Wicklund joining us, who is from the Barley Jacks, great fiddle player, musician. He'll be joining us next week. And if you want the inside scoop as to our upcoming guests, we have some big national names coming up, then you can join our Patreon. And that's a way to find that out. And we're going to be having a special after party coming up for our Patreon supporters. So if you want to learn more about that, you can check out that link that's scrolling on the screen. So,
yeah. Well, thank you, folks, everybody, for tuning in. And Martin, you all right? We're at 5 o'clock, but can we listen to one more track?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
All right. Because I think we need to. Oh, and we heard from Chris here that the Minnesota music scene will survive this time, rise from the ashes because of Martin. Yes.
And something.
And the ghost.
Excellent.
All right. Well, let's give this last track a spin. Anything you want to mention about the house off the beaten path?
No, just it's a two-night played around with for many years and had the title for a long time, and it was a good vehicle for me and Jake. So
awesome. Well, it's a great way to finish off our episode here. This is Martin Devaney, House Off the Beaten Path on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
There's an auburn beauty upon Cathedral Hill, hoping for someone to have and to hold. She's living in a house left to her in a will, but her finger knows no band of gold. And I've been on vacation in the Aftershock Saloon. There's no mercy at the bottom of a glass, and the days don't begin until well after afternoon, and my eyes reflect the asphalt, but I know this too shall pass. Come on and meet me in the meadow, in the tall, tall grass. Come on and meet me where the time rolls to the house of the beaten path. I break the dawn with a headache and a yawn as the riverbanks are bursting into flames, and the wind is whispering warning through the morning trees. I'm gone as the silhouettes are sweeping up the shame. Come on, meet me in the meadow, in the tall, tall grass. Come on, meet me where the town rolls to the house of the beaten path. How do you mend a broken heart? Go and break another. Sell your soul for rock and roll songs. How do you know you've played your part? How can you help but wonder if it's gonna last this way that long? Well, this train ain't bound for glory. This train, it ain't a wreck. Still thinking about my girl upon the hill. She drinking wine from a mason jar with her arms around my neck. She could be the one to bring me back from the windowsill if she will meet me in the meadow, in the tall, tall grass. Come on, meet me where the time rolls
perfect way to end the
Yeah.
show today on Back Catalog Listening Party. That was House Off the Beaten Path from Martin Devaney's 2010 release, The West End, which we've been enjoying throughout our whole episode today on Back Catalog
Yeah.
Listening Party. Martin, thank you so much for joining us. This has been so
Thank you
much
guys
fun.
so much.
Yeah, thank you. It was great. Great way to kick off the long weekend, and
Yeah. It
wonderful
was a great
music.
weekend, you guys. Thank you.
Yeah, and for all of you out there listening, if you like what you've heard, you can find the rebroadcast on Facebook as well as YouTube, which usually is the best way to hear the whole episode with all the songs in there, and you can share with your friends. And I want to thank our Patreon supporters again. Penny, Ann, Linda, Bevan, Connie, Vaughn, Alan, Chris. And if you want to join this mighty crew to help us get our platform to more people so we can support more, get a bigger audience for our guests like Martin, then you can get on board. Lots of cool thank you gifts and special perks.
Yeah, we got some good stuff in the works.
Such good stuff. After parties, special Zoom performances, private performances online. So check it out. And Martin, thank you again. This has been such
Thank
a
you
treat.
guys. Yeah.
I really
Sure.
miss seeing you play around town. So this is,
Yeah.
it's not as good, but it's pretty good.
Well, folks, now's the time. Go stock up on his albums. He's got a bunch of them, and
Yeah. there we
yeah,
go.
all right, we got a few notes out of him too. Fantastic.
Making up for that ghost. Yeah.
I know. Well, that was the most live music I've seen all week. Thank you, Martin.
Awesome.
Right
Well,
on.
have a great weekend, everybody. And we'll
Yeah,
see
you
you
guys too.
next week on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
All right, have a great
Take care,
weekend,
guys.
everybody.
Take care.